Why Do Revolutions Occur? A Message to Our World Leaders by Natalie Keller,
Zoe Vanaka,
Maurice Foltz,
and Elizabeth Meredith. Based on the analysis of the American, French, Russian, and Mexican Revolution, our team has come to the conclusion that all of the revolutions have typically the same causes.
such as political and economic. For political, during the American Revolution, King George III of England was an ineffective leader over his English colonies. For economic reasons, just like how he taxed the people, this was unfair to them, and also during the Russian Revolution, how all the people living in the lower class were living in poverty and going through a famine. All of these revolutions occurred because all the citizens wanted reform from their leaders.
The events and causes of the American Revolution. The cause was a raise in taxes, which caused turmoil, and the events was the Boston Tea Party and the Boston Massacre, which were the two main events. It relates to others because it involved a revolt and uprising of the people.
In the French Revolution, the king's inability to deal with the country's debt caused the people to be food shortages and certain religious intolerances. The event that led up to this was the storming of the Bastille. The French Revolution also relates to the other revolutions because it involves the uprising, and like the American Revolution, involves bloodshed.
The Mexican Revolution, the event that caused it was the uprising led by Madero, and all the people were getting tired of Diaz centralizing all the money. And this relates to the others because, in general, the people get tired of their rulers having too much power.
During the Russian Revolution, the Industrial Revolution centralized money, and the government in power was unjust and corrupt. So an event that led up to this was all the violent riots in the streets of Petrograd. All the revolutions seem to have a common trait of an overthrowing leader.
The leaders of the American Revolution was King George III. Some of the revolutionaries was George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Alexander Hamilton. The fate of the leaders after the revolution was King George still stayed the king, but he was not favored by the Americans. And the starting government was a monarchy, aristocracy, and the ending was a democracy/republic.
For the French Revolution, Louis XVI was the leader of the French, and Pierre-Auguste Moulin, Voltaire, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau were some of the revolutionaries. After the revolution, Louis was forced to share power with the National Assembly, which separated his power more than having it centralized. His starting government was an absolute monarchy, and his ending government was a constitutional monarchy.
The leaders of the Mexican Revolution were Diaz and Madero. The revolutionaries, or at least some of them, are Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa. Diaz resigned and Madero was assassinated by his people. And their starting government was dictatorship, and their ending government was a constitutional democracy.
During the Russian Revolution, the leader of Russia during the time was King Nicholas II. The main revolutionary leader was Vladimir Lenin. The fate of Nicholas was he was abdicated from his position, and the starting out government was a Tsarist autocracy, and their ending government was a communist.
The leaders and the governments, the leaders fought back by outlawing rebellion and punishing those who did rebel, and that happened in basically all of the revolutions.
So we did a sequencing map for my revolution, which was the French Revolution, and all of its causes. Its two main causes were political and economic. For political, there was an absolute government and an inefficient ruler. For the absolute government, King Louis decided he should centralize the power, which made the government weak, and Louis could do whatever he pleases. For an inefficient ruler, Louis cared more about personal activity like hunting rather than taking care of the people. So it did what it would do, and it set people back and put them into poverty. And he set too many different laws and had too many officials and nobles. For economic causes, there was war and taxes. For war, France was a part of many different wars, and they helped America in their revolution. So as a result, France was bankrupt, putting its people deeper into poverty. And for taxes, Nobles such as the Estates General did not have to pay any taxes, whereas the poor people that were living in the poverty had to pay really high taxes in which they could not afford. And that was our presentation. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.